We interrupt what you're watching right now to bring you this exciting story.
It's the dust and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's some handwritten letters from home. It's some sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down, he's alive. It's the red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California. Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down, he's alive. It's the red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. It's the red, white, and blue. Stand on the front line. It's the red, white, and blue. Pay the ultimate price. He was a man out when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flags still wave. And then he came home with all he wanted. It's Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. All these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Stand on these red lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. To pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. For these stars and stripes. March in line. March in line. Hey. Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Sunday matinee time, 3 o'clock, and boy, we called it right. It was like, I don't know, 60 degrees out. Then it plummeted to the whole like 20 plus degrees out there. So it was pouring the rain. It was in Harbor Creek. We still about have an hour left of the tornado, watch warning. I haven't seen any updates. Usually they'll go, okay, we extended it to 6. It's still at expiring at 4 o'clock. So just kind of keep your eye open on your smartphones. They usually give you alerts and stuff. So it's it's weather's crazy, and it's springtime. When you drop 20, 30 degrees in an hour, that sets things up. So here we are. Like I said, we're going to try to do the Sunday matinee thing at 3 o'clock seems to work well. That way it's, after lunch, after church, before dinner, just do a quick update, a lot of things going on. Actually, we just there's so many things going on. I'm going to try to keep it at under an hour today. That way we can post it to TikTok. TikTok just won't budge on that, and that's their decision to do it that way. Well, at 3:15, we're gonna have a special guest, Josh Prince, Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. Josh for Justice. I like that. It just has a good ring. Now, this guy's got a great story, and it's not like I just randomly said, "Hey, this guy's pretty cool. Let's talk." An open carry PA, and we had a permit to come down and have Perry Square, and the mayor said, if you guys bring those guns down here on an open carry, we'll have you arrested. Well, we didn't get arrested. We got a traffic ticket, had to go to court, and when we went to court, they found us guilty, fined us $280 some dollars, violating a city ordinance. Well, guess who our attorney was that took this to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court? Josh Prince. So that's when he ran for judge. I said, I don't care who the Republicans endorse, who they don't endorse. I'm endorsing an attorney that wants to be a judge that absolutely believes in the Constitution and absolutely understands what our Second Amendment was based around. So when he ran, it was easy. When I ran for sheriff, he gave me his endorsement. When he ran for this once before, I gave him my endorsement, and he asked for my of course I gave him my endorsement because I know he's a good, solid attorney, specializes in Second Amendment issues. I'll let him tell his story here. We're going to bring him on in about 5 minutes, but I just want to let you know, changing the show up just a little bit. Kim said she'll call in later. And we'll take some calls. We got some great videos, just a lot of things going on. We had a St. Patrick's Day parade yesterday. Great turnout. We started up like little wet fish. It was raining so hard. Then I don't know. The luck of the Irish just said, "Hey, we're going to give you guys some nice weather." And it was cloudy. It was warm. There were so many kids. I'd never participated in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I've only seen pictures of it. Looks like a lot of people there. Oh my goodness. We went through so much candy. And it's still, we barely even dented how many kids got candy. But it was funny. You would see the kids stand there with their bags open. These bags were like half full. So trust me, they've got like almost a year's worth to take them to Halloween time. But that was a good turnout. We had a lot of fun. There was only a couple snide comments from the peanut gallery, which we expected, but for the most part, everybody was just nice, having a good time, interacting, not making a big a fussy muss about anything. I personally only heard one snotty comment. I know Brenda was handing out candy. Some tall teenager wanted some. She's like, no. Well, of course, he had to call her a female dog right there in the parade in front of all the kids. Now, see, that's just not how it works. We don't reward bad behavior. Brenda was on my side. I was driving the vehicle, and there's this little girl standing there. She had her little green outfit on, and she had the reddest hair. She's like a little miniature female leprechaun. So of course, Brenda walked over there and gave her a nice little bag that Kim had filled out for the parade route. So, Brenda, are you there with me?
I am.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear your headphone, but thanks for muting. Have you talked to Josh?
He is ready in the room.
Okay, well,
I can bring him in whenever you're ready.
yeah, bring him in. I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to flap my gums at the beginning of the show. So, I always say 15. That way, if they're early, great. If they're late, no big deal. This is not the cable news network where we have to be at exact time. So if you guys want to, if you want to go ahead and bring Josh in, that'd be great. Can you hear me, sir?
I can. How you doing, Brian? It's good to see you.
And I can hear you. Amazing, this technology when it works out great. I don't know if you were listening to the show. I had your big banner across the screen. I gave them kind of a quick overview how I know you and why I'm throwing my hat behind you. So my question for you is, it's the palette is yours, sir. You fill it in how you want. Tell the people who you are, where have you been, and how we're going to get there. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks again for having me. So,
Absolutely.
for those of you who don't know anything about me, I'll start out and I'll go over a little bit of my personal background and then I'll move on to my professional background and we'll kind of go from there. In relation to my personal background, I was born and raised in Berks County, Pennsylvania. I went to McGill University in Montreal, where I double majored in political science and world religions, then came back stateside, went to Widener University Law School where I graduated with honors as well as a member of the Law Review. About 2 years ago now, I got the opportunity of a lifetime. I got to marry my best friend and love of my life, Jessica. And we actually started what I'll refer to as our IVF journey because it has been nothing short of a journey. It's been over a year in the making, but Jessica is pregnant with our baby girl. And she's due September 24th, so we're really stoked about that.
Good.
We just can't wait. We're overly elated. And yeah, that's pretty much my personal background. In relation to my professional background, I've spent pretty much my entire career defending our civil rights in the state and federal courts. I am most well known for my Second Amendment advocacy, but I've handled all forms of constitutional issues: equal protection, due process, religious freedom, freedom of speech, what constitutes reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. You name it, I've pretty much handled it. I also was at the tip of the spear fighting the COVID mandates. A lot are unaware that the original mandate actually forced the closure of all law firms, so no one could challenge the executive fiat. I was the attorney who filed a special petition with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, referred to as a King Bench application, where you basically ask the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to immediately hear a case instead of it percolating from below up, because it is of paramount importance. And pretty much within 48 hours of filing that, I like to say, then Governor Wolf had a first of a lifetime epiphany, found law firms to be essential, allowed to reopen. We used the same mechanism to basically get federal firearms licensees, your gun dealers, reopened, and then went on to represent a whole bunch of small businesses, everything from hair salons, barbershops to restaurants. A lot of people have heard of Taste of Sicily. They had been fined close to $100,000 by the Wolf administration, and we got all of those fines thrown out. We then went on to represent a bunch of school boards, school officials, teachers, basically people who wanted to ensure that our children and the parents were able to make an informed decision, that the school districts weren't going to be pushing anything down their throats, but regarding masking, vaccinations, you name it. And then went on to represent also a bunch of individuals who were employed either at the Commonwealth level or the federal level, who were basically requesting religious exemptions from the COVID mandated vaccine. And so, we've had a large history of supporting individual liberties and giving people the ability to decide what they want to do. If I were to kind of sum up my entire career into one sentence, it would be basically spending my entire career holding government accountable and ensuring that the government complies with the law and the Constitution. So that's, a little bit about me and what my background has been. We do on our website, Prince for Justice, and that's FOR, not the number four. Again, that's Prince for Justice. Have basically a meet me, it's an about me page that really goes over everything from judicial philosophy to different cases I've litigated, ones of paramount importance. A lot of people don't realize the breadth of my experience. I've done everything from representing injured workers in workers' compensation cases to unemployment compensation cases to class action lawsuits to defending the then Perry County Sheriff Nace when he had been sued by the county auditors seeking license to carry firearms applicant information. So I have a very broad background, and I've also litigated a bunch in the federal courts. I brought a number of Second Amendment as applied challenges and other things of that nature. I hold a number of decisions that are what they're referred to as issues of first impression, meaning the court hadn't ever weighed in on that particular issue in the past. I was the first attorney in the nation to successfully argue a Second Amendment as applied challenge in relation to a mental health commitment. I've had a lot of different types of cases in relation to what constitutes reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. There was the Commonwealth versus Hicks case that came out of the Lehigh County, where the individual was represented by the Lehigh County Public Defender's Office. Unfortunately, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreed to hear that case, and it involved whether the mere sight of a firearm without anything more constituted reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. I actually did a 50-state survey. Believe it or not, even in New Jersey, they had precedent saying that merely seeing a firearm was not reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. And what ends up happening is, I believe it was actually Justice Wecht who issues the decision for the Supreme Court. And in it, they adopt over 80% of the arguments that we had put into our amicus brief. The public defender's brief wasn't anything. I think it was a total of like 6 pages, and that's double spaced. And that included also the citations and everything. So, I was very happy that I was afforded the opportunity to represent a number of members of the General Assembly, as well as Firearm Owners Against Crime and a number of other organizations in preparing and filing that amicus brief. But that gives a little bit of an idea as to, everything I've done and why I do believe that I am the best candidate for the Commonwealth Court. I can also tell all the listeners that over the past 6 years alone, I've litigated 13 cases just in front of the Commonwealth Court alone. And of those 13 cases, I've already been successful in 10 of them. 2 are still awaiting decision. The way oral argument went in both those cases, I expect to be successful. And in relation to the one that I did lose, that is up on appeal before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And given how oral argument went, I expect that decision to be reversed. So I may end up with a 100% track record before the Commonwealth Court in the past 6 years. And that's not me trying to be boastful. Rather, why I mention it is the fact that it shows that my arguments are grounded in the law and the Constitution. What is truly interesting to me is in a number of those cases, there were decisions that held to the contrary. Maybe not directly on that exact issue, but ones that my opponents thought would clearly result in the Commonwealth Court ruling against me. And I am successful in convincing judges of both, past political parties to basically come over to my side, given my arguments and the way in which I'm able to brief issues and really give them an easy path to find in my favor. So I think that's important because I believe if I am blessed with this opportunity to be on the Commonwealth Court, that I will be able to ensure that the court gets it right the first time, that there isn't a need to litigate cases multiple times. And one case in particular, which involved what was necessary for standing, I was actually successful in having the Commonwealth Court, what's referred to as en banc, meaning the entire court reverse its own prior precedent. And that case was then appealed up by the city of Harrisburg and was affirmed by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So I'm very, honored to have been able to show the Commonwealth Court the error of its ways, get it to correct them, and then have the PA Supreme Court agree that, yes, it got it right the second time.
Right. Now, I guess the other question I really have for you is I know, the rank and file, the men and women that go to work every day and they see this in the news. What is exactly the Commonwealth Court? I mean, some people define what that is because I know we have some Superior Court, we have all these other courts. Define exactly what you're running for.
Okay, so let me start out kind of giving the pyramid of what the court system is here in Pennsylvania. So our lowest possible courts are magisterial district judges. They, handle your traffic tickets, your preliminary hearings, bench warrants, basically initial criminal proceedings, cases, civil cases below $12,000, things of that nature. Directly above them are our courts of common pleas. They generally handle all trial court issues, criminal and civil. But there is basically a court of common pleas in each county of the 67 counties here in the Commonwealth. And then above those courts of common pleas, we have two courts of equal level. That is the Superior Court, where I would say probably about 95% of appeals from courts of common pleas go to. So they handle all your general civil appeals and your criminal appeals and all of that. And then there is the Commonwealth Court. And I'm going to talk about the Commonwealth Court in a minute, but above both the Superior and the Commonwealth Court is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So that's kind of our pyramid. So in relation to the Commonwealth Court, it actually has two unique aspects to it. First, it is the only court in the nation that is designed around being a court of direct government oversight. It is also the only court in the nation that acts both as a trial court and an appellate court, depending on the legal issue before it. So let me give some examples. Anytime you sue the Commonwealth or a Commonwealth agency, it actually acts as a trial court where it takes evidence, hears testimony, makes credibility determinations regarding that testimony, and then issues findings of fact and conclusions of law. Whereas if a Commonwealth agency issues a determination you don't agree with, let's say the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue contends you owe a tax and you disagree with that determination, any appeal of that determination goes up before the Commonwealth Court. And that's how it is a court of direct government oversight, ensuring that, our rights in the law as it relates to the Commonwealth and its agencies is always supposed to be checked. Now, of course, unfortunately, we have seen an erosion of public confidence in the courts, I believe, because of what I'll refer to as political instead of judicial decisions across the board. And that's one of the things that I really want to fight against. That's one of the real reasons that I'm running. I think it's time we get the politics out of the courtroom. We need to have an independent judiciary, and one that only ever upholds the law as written in the Constitution as intended. And what's frustrating to me is, in my opinion, Pennsylvania law gets it backwards, because if you want to run for judge, you are forced to run under a political platform. And yet we want the residents of the Commonwealth to believe that the judiciary is independent. I really think the General Assembly needs to pass a law precluding any judicial candidate from running under any political platform. Get politics out of the judiciary, get all the money. I mean, just so the listeners have some idea, the Republican Party is telling the statewide candidates judicial candidates to expect $1 million to $1.5 million candidacy. That's obscene. We saw in the last race for the Supreme Court, it exceeded $13 million.
Whoa.
That's just obscene. And I truly believe the reason we see those numbers is because of the politics involved. So let's get the politics out of the court.
Well, and I understand that. And that's why a lot of people get confused when it's a petition time that you guys can cross file. They get a little confused. They say, well, that's the point of being able to cross file, is they're supposed to be, a very neutral entity. And unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
Right. And just so the viewers know, only magisterial district judges and common pleas judges can cross file. For any of the appellate courts, so Commonwealth, Superior, or Supreme, you can only run under one political platform or the other.
See, there you go. Okay, great. And that's clarification for me. Not an attorney. And now, so like I said, when we brought the show on, we talked about our court case. Because that was I actually invited Mr. Dillon on, but unfortunately he had to work, so we could kind of like really hone down on how important what you do locally, because that did get a lot of press. I mean, it got a lot of local press, The NRA paid attention. They saw what you were doing, and they wrote us letters, and they wrote a nice little check to help us out. Because these small little lawsuits were a huge impact, and that's what you specialize in. I follow you on social media. I see when you get people back their concealed handgun permit when they were taken away unconstitutionally, and you're the guy that goes in there and fights and gets it back. And and that's why I was like, I don't care what the Republican Party says. I know what my heart feels because I know what you did for us, the Erie Eight. And I could never figure this out. When they called us the Erie Eight, I was always confused why eight and why my name was always last. I couldn't figure it. You know why? I was the oldest one there. Like, gee, thanks a lot. Doesn't matter. I had a big mouth. I didn't have the PA system, but and it was funny. I bumped into the mayor. He ended up being a county employee, and he goes, "Hey, Brian, you don't take anything personal, do you? That we had to do that." I said, "No, you have to answer to your constituents. They didn't want those guns downtown, but your city ordinance can't supersede the Constitution of the Commonwealth or the United States." And we lost locally, which we knew that was going to happen because the good old boys. And then that's why we hired you because you were the neutral entity out of Pittsburgh, and you weren't a local guy hanging out at Dairy Club with the rest of them. And go ahead, tell the people how many judges agreed with your opinion. I think it was 7-0.
Yes, that was before the Commonwealth Court, that decision. It was an en banc decision to grant the preliminary injunction. And basically, based on the way the court decided it, it was clear to the Court of Common Pleas that it was going to have to issue a permanent injunction, which still to this day does exist. That's one of my frustrations with a lot of these cases. You litigate them successfully, and a permanent injunction just precludes them from being able to enforce it. So it's still technically on the books.
Right.
So anyone who, is law abiding might actually go out, look at the ordinances, try and know if their conduct would be lawful or not. And they're going to see that that ordinance is still there. And they're not going to know necessarily that there's an injunction in place precluding the city from enforcing it. So we really do need to, change our preemption code. We need the General Assembly to put some more teeth in it. There should be attorney's fees and costs associated with a successful challenge, because we do see that a number of different municipalities pass these laws and basically say, hey, if you don't like it, sue us and make the courts tell us. And that's been a major frustration, because it truly does become, for many of the organizations, a death by 1,000 cuts. Meanwhile, you have organizations like Ceasefire PA and other entities that are pushing these municipalities to enact these ordinances. And then at the end of the day, those municipalities get to use our taxpayer money to fight us.
Oh yeah.
It's just absolutely obscene. And so we really do need to change the law. We need to have more teeth in the law, and to prevent municipalities from doing these types of things. We really should make sure that if a municipality does it, that the individual members are liable for their conduct, and so that the taxpayers don't end up on the hook. I mean, I know in many instances, most municipalities have error and omission liability insurance, but what's interesting is no error and omission liability applies in a criminal matter. These are arguably criminal acts under the Uniform Firearms Act, and Section 6119 actually says that if an offense under the Uniform Firearms Act isn't otherwise specified, that it's a misdemeanor of the first degree. And our preemption code, 6120, comes under the Uniform Firearms Act. So a violation of that would be a misdemeanor of the first degree. So that's one issue. The secondary issue is there are some organizations, some local forms of government that do not have any error and omission insurance or coverage. And that always is, obviously, as I said, a concern.
And exactly right. And we agree with you. And that's why, Justin Dillon here locally started Open Carry PA for these exact same reasons. These laws are on the books, and the whole, oh, I don't care, go ahead and sue me, because they know the little guy doesn't have the clout or the finances to really push a good solid lawsuit. And even after I talked to the members of the Erie Police Department, after they had to come down and do that, they're like, "Sorry, guys, man, our hands are tied." I mean, we get that you run a very slippery slope because A, you take an oath to the Constitution, you take an oath to the job, so you have to be very careful when it comes down from the boss, the mayor of Erie, that this was going to be taken care of, and it was no big deal. Like I said, we won. I know that was a great feather in your cap because I remember you talking. He goes, "Hey, I got to argue in front of the Supreme Court and I won." That's a great victory.
The case actually, just to be clear, just so the listeners know, it went up to the Commonwealth Court en banc. It didn't end up getting in front of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Thank you
Um,
for clarifying.
but the en banc nature of that decision, it has been the foundation of so many other preemption cases that I've litigated, still to this day. And I am very honored to have been a part of it. So to this day, like I said, I still fight these same exact issues, and it's unfortunate. It doesn't matter how many times the issue can be addressed. We have a situation in a borough in Northampton County where already first was Erie and the second was Lower Merion Township, decisions from the Commonwealth Court that held that you can't regulate discharge of firearms. And yet Northampton, this one county, or excuse me, this one municipality, can't talk anymore, one municipality within Northampton County decided to regulate discharge. And we sent a letter, said, listen, this is unlawful. Don't do this. Just repeal this. And they basically told us, sue us. And so now we're having to sue them. And of course, they didn't think we'd actually sue them. And so now what happens, we're in court, and now they're like, oh, well, we think we will repeal it. Will you just withdraw the suit? And I said, no, my clients just had to pay thousands of dollars between court fees and preparing this petition. And oh, yeah, we also prepared a motion for a preliminary injunction that we were literally ready to file the day you contacted us and said, hey, you know what? I think we'll just repeal it. So, we're trying to work on that issue, especially because one of the newer theories that I am utilizing in these cases is something called mandamus, where you can force a government entity to comply with the law. And I believe, based on the precedent that exists already generally with regards to mandamus, that not only would we have an ability to actually force the municipality to repeal that ordinance so it's no longer on the books anymore, but also to pay us court costs and potentially attorney's fees.
Right.
So it's a different way of litigating these types of cases. But I'll also tell the listeners, many of them probably heard the city of Harrisburg had about 7 different ordinances regulating firearms. And we were successful about 6 months ago in getting those ordinances struck down, with the exception of one. One, they said somehow we didn't have standing to challenge the emergency declaration provision, which made no sense based on the case that I argued before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and where the Supreme Court agreed with us. But nevertheless, they decided to appeal that case up to the Commonwealth Court. And the day their briefing was due, they withdrew their appeal.
How convenient was that?
That was City of Harrisburg versus Firearm Owners Against Crime et al. There were a number of different individuals, but they wait until the last minute, then withdraw it. We have a cross appeal pending in that case involving the one ordinance that we were unsuccessful in having enjoined, and we expect to be successful with that because, again, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's already ruled what is necessary to challenge an unlawful ordinance, and we met those requirements. So it'll be interesting to see how all that, basically ends up being decided, and whether the city of Harrisburg decides to basically back out and say, we'll agree that the ordinance is unlawful. Because what was truly interesting is the judge in the decision saying that we didn't have the necessary standing, said that, but if the ordinance was ever enforced, it would clearly be preempted. So he's already found that it's violative of our law. He said that in this situation, in his opinion, we didn't have standing to get it thrown out. So that's just a couple of those different cases. And I've handled a lot of other issues. It's not just firearms law stuff. As I mentioned at the beginning, I've handled, all forms of constitutional issues. And another case I'm extremely proud of was a school due process case. I had a individual who was 18 years of age, still in high school, and they wanted to expel him, and they didn't want to give him opportunity to be heard. They notified his parents of the hearing, but never gave him any notice. And so that was another issue of first impression. The Commonwealth Court had never dealt with whether someone who is 18 years of age or older, still in high school, has a due process right to notice and an opportunity to be heard at an expulsion hearing. And the Commonwealth Court came back and said, yes, absolutely, they do. We ended up then filing a civil rights action in the federal courts, and were able to get not just those records, those school records, expunged for my client, so that when he applied for college and all of that, that wouldn't be something that would be disclosable. But we also got him a couple $1,000s to put towards his future education. So there's a lot of stuff like that that I've handled and dealt with in the courts.
Yeah, and that's why I had no problem bringing you on here and letting you talk to the people here. We're on 6 different channels now. A lot of people come by and they watch at their convenience. The podcast is nice, but some people like to see. They want to look in your eyes and say, "Wait a minute, this guy's shifting. He's moving around." No, that's why we do a video. That way everybody can sees it. But we've been flashing your website information above the screen. I don't know if you can see it or not. But so give us your official website again.
Yep. So it's Prince for Justice, PrinceForJustice.com.
And if they want to catch you on Facebook, what's your Facebook page?
So if you type in Prince for Justice, you'll find us there. It is technically Prince for PA because of some of the social media accounts. They don't allow longer names. So to have it consistent for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's Prince for PA. Please do, if you agree with my positions and such, like and share our Facebook page. That helps us greatly to get more exposure to my campaign. I do have an opponent. I don't know, Brian, if you want to get into it. I did see that there was a question asked about what happened at state committee. I'm happy to talk about it if you want, but I don't want to take up the whole show. But, we do have a lot of information on our website and on our social media account. Also, if you want more information about what actually happened during state committee, if you go to the news section on our website, we have a number of the articles still posted. I am very transparent. I put the information out there. I want the voters to be able to make an informed decision, because really that's what it needs to be about. You having an opportunity as a voter to vet the candidates. You can no longer just believe because you get a mailer in the mail that that's who you should be voting for. That's why we're in the position that we are, honestly.
I get it. And then there was a good friend of mine. She posted in there. Her name's Brenda Kellmeyer. So it's a long story, but her son is doing some state time over a gun charge, and so she's kind of like asking, but I know you're a busy guy, but Brenda's been fighting this fight for a long time. It's a long, complicated deal. I know Brenda my whole life, so maybe you guys can just have a conversation, and she would appreciate that. But again, speaking of appreciate, we appreciate you coming out, spending your Sunday afternoon. You could be chasing your wife around, making sure she has pickles and ice cream. But this is important stuff. We the people don't want people legislating from the bench anymore. We're seeing that every day, and we don't want that. And that's why I had no problem bringing you on the show. I had no problem when you asked for an endorsement. I gave you that endorsement because I know you were ready to fight for us, and you did, and we won. So,
And
hashtag winning.
I always tell people, don't listen to a single word I say. Just look at the cases I argue, the arguments I make, and you will know everything you need to know about who I am and what I stand for. And as I mentioned earlier, I think my success record shows that my arguments are grounded in the law and the Constitution, that I'm not one looking to, take the law and, basically turn it into a pretzel just to suit my own purposes. I truly believe that we need to get back to the foundation that our founding fathers gave us. We have 3 co-equal branches of government for a reason. I know that if I am blessed with this opportunity, there are going to come times where I would have to issue a decision that I personally am not going to agree with. And yet that is necessary, because if I issue a decision and every single one of those decisions I agree with, I'm likely issuing political non-judicial decisions, because at the end of the day, the law is what the law is. And if any one of us, even if you're a sitting judge, if you don't like what the law says, we all have an ability to change it. It's reaching out to our elected representatives, our House member, our senator, and ask them to change the law. It is not for the judiciary to simply say, hey, look, I don't like this. So I'm going to, kind of change it. And if we have a minute, I can give another case example where this comes. Okay. So the one case I lost in front of the Commonwealth Court. Originally, this case was up on a preliminary injunction. At that point in time, it was back in 23. And basically, it involved the Pennsylvania State Police and the substantial delays in performing background checks. And we basically had a hearing in front of Judge McCullough on the Commonwealth Court. She finds in our favor in a preliminary injunction enjoining Pennsylvania State Police, because the statute at issue says that the background checks are to be performed instantaneously and the response provided immediately. And so what was interesting is, although the Pennsylvania State Police was contending that I think it was needed $4 million to be able to, no, excuse me, $2 million to be able to hire enough professionals, PICS operators, Pennsylvania Instant Check System operators, to be able to perform these background checks instantaneously, and that they had told the General Assembly that. What came out in the testimony from Lieutenant Keeler with the Pennsylvania State Police was that basically these additional, I believe it was 28 employees they needed, they didn't have funding for, was their contention. And yet I had the Commonwealth budget with me and was able to confirm with her that there was over $5 million at that time in the account to be able to hire these additional PICS operators. And what became clear was the Pennsylvania State Police was trying to put the General Assembly in a position whereby constituents would call their House or Senator member and basically say, I'm upset about these delays. What's going on here? They called the Pennsylvania State Police. Pennsylvania State Police would say, hey, we told you we needed an additional $2 million. You didn't provide it for us, and so we can't do it. And yet, within a week of Judge McCullough issuing her injunction, all the delays went away. I mean, it was crazy. And the one thing I did learn during that hearing was that it takes a minimum of 6 months to hire a new Commonwealth agent, a new employee. So the only impossibility that existed was that any new employee was hired in that 1 week period of time. Yet all the delays went away. And unfortunately, Judge McCullough later on recused herself because in 23, both she and I were running for different judicial positions. She was running for Supreme Court. I was running for Commonwealth Court. And so she thought it best to recuse because she didn't want any appearance of impropriety, since we were on the campaign trail and had a lot of events together, things of that nature. So it gets assigned to a different judge. Different judge basically issues a decision saying, we don't even have jurisdiction here because the Pennsylvania State Police is doing everything that they can. Instantaneous actually means a reasonable amount of time, and the reasonableness of the amount of time is to be determined by the Pennsylvania State Police. Now, I don't...
How convenient.
If you walk down the street and ask the first 6 people you come to, what would you define instantaneous as? We all know the types of responses you get: right away, immediately, without delay. There isn't going to be a single person that's going to say, within a reasonable amount of time, and that should be determined by the agency that it applies to. And it's funny, that case is up on appeal before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court was of similar mindset that this makes absolutely no sense. Listen, the General Assembly decided to utilize the word instantaneous. And we can't just simply decide that we know better. If the Pennsylvania State Police can't comply with it, then it's up to the Pennsylvania State Police to either find a way to comply with it or to address that issue with the General Assembly and have them change the law. So we'll see what happens. That oral argument, I want to say, happened almost a year ago now. So I'm hopeful that we will get a decision in the near future. What the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's going to do is anyone's guess, because they could, simply say you got it wrong. Instantaneous clearly means instantaneous. Send it back to the Commonwealth Court for further hearings. Or they could say, listen, you just can't simply ignore this, and we all know what this means, and issue a mandate directing the Pennsylvania State Police to comply with it. I'm hopeful that the latter will be the result, but we have to wait and see.
Nice. Well, you keep up the good work. You keep up the good fight. That's why you've got, Erie County. We're doing our groups and we're pushing behind you. Just because some group in Harrisburg say that this is what you're going to vote. No, I vote from here, and my wallet. So it's an issue of we know who you are, we know what you've done, and it's all good. And we appreciate it. We've been flashing your website across the screen. Folks, if you have any questions, reach out. We're trying to work out, have you come to Erie and talk, because running a state campaign has got to be just crazy. And we'd like to have you, if you're on this side of the state sometime, because I know you're out of Pittsburgh, that we'd love to have
I'm
you.
at a other side, southeast.
Oh, sorry. So we're trying to work it out to get you to come up here when you're in this neck of the woods, because to meet you is an honor, and you're a guy that fights the good fight, and we appreciate your time, and best of luck with your wife and your new child coming very, very soon.
Thank you. And if anyone does want to try and come to an event that I'm going to be at, we actually on our website have a tour. We're doing a Justice for All listening tour, where we're going around to speak with people about the erosion of public confidence in the courts, give a little bit of background about myself. So you can definitely go there to see all the currently scheduled dates. If you're in a different county and you want to try and arrange a time for me to come, please reach out to my campaign. We're happy to come out. I love meeting voters. I love hearing from people about what their experiences have been and concerns they have, because I think it's necessary for our judicial candidates to hear from the voter base, know what the concerns are, because how can you fix it as a judge if you never learn about it?
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. And that's why people, they love to rattle their sabers, say, oh, yeah, I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm like, I know a guy. He is for your Second Amendment and other things too. But, that there's a lot of people focusing on that. When Senator Laughlin was running, he had a pamphlet up with 53 pieces of legislation that are tossed around in the Commonwealth right now to limit these. So that's why we need reasonable judges that are reasonable when they're sitting on the bench. So thank you, sir, for your time. We appreciate it. Well, if you're always welcome to come back. I know you're very, very busy, but you always have an open invitation, sir.
I'd love it. Just let me know when.
Thank you, sir. Be safe.
You said keep your powder dry.
Yes, sir. Love that one. It's a good one. Wait for Brendan to click off. There we go. Well, there you go. Like I said, that was a long one, but man, this guy has so much information and is just so ready to go to work. And I'm not here to tell you how to vote. That's your decision. I'm just here to lay the facts out. That's all I try to do, is lay the facts out. If it's my opinion, I'll tell you it's my opinion. But I basically just try to get you guys to do your own due diligence. So there. So that's just a friendly marker. Who he is, Commonwealth Court. You can Google him up, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Brenda just sent me a text. Yep. Okay, good. Brenda, just go ahead. Oh. Hi, Kim. You're live.
Well, hello, Brian. That was a real treat that you arranged. I'm thankful that you had Joshua come on.
We try to do different things. We don't want to do the same old every week, because it's like, okay, we're looking at fun videos, but where's the meat and potatoes? Well, here's the meat and potatoes right here. I gave it to you. We gave him more time than any other talk show would do, because we don't have commercial breaks. We talk for almost 45 minutes, so there's Kim Hunter's new sign. Look at that. Boop. Out on the streets, tearing up Erie.
Yes, yes. And I cannot thank you and Brenda enough for all of your help and your love and support. That was just so much fun yesterday. I want to give a big thank you to Harrison Dunn for all of his videography that he did. A special thank you to Gwen and her husband for providing the music. That was just a hoot,
Now, wait a
playing
minute.
YMCA.
Wait. They brought the music and cookies.
And cookies, yes, Gwen's special cookies, and playing YMCA, and they ate the cats and ate the dogs,
Lord.
right in between two Democrats. That was just wonderful. And a big thank you to Nate and to Hopi and to Rachel Farmer for coming out and helping, and anybody else that I might have forgotten. That was just so much fun. I apologize to any kids out there that did not get candy, but you know what? That was double the people we had last year, and that was 50 pounds of candy plus an extra 3 bags.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you could have bought 3 times that amount and still not had enough. It was 10, 20 feet thick of kids right down there by the art museum. I have a photo up of Harrison Dunn took a picture of. It's a great picture. I love the picture. It's just like hurry up and wait. That's an old army term. Hurry up and wait, man. He caught the essence of wow. Let's get
I
this
know.
thing done. But no, you're welcome because it's a team effort. The local Republican Party refuses to do anything. The Democrat Party had a float and had all their candidates out there. But where was the Republicans? Oh, that's right. It was us. Lead, follow, get out of my way. If you're not going to do your job, watch what we can do. We can do it better. And we got some plans up for other events. We're gonna get into the Lawrence Park parade on the 4th of July, and we'll go from
Yep.
there.
Yep. And we will be planning a fundraiser, because I've had a lot of people ask me about that. Harrison informed me today that my website and stuff will be up next week, so I'm really, really, really excited about that.
Good.
And for anybody that forgot, because I forgot until I got a reminder on my Facebook today, the 814 Patriots are meeting tonight at 6 o'clock at the Colony. So
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that because I missed the last one because I was so sick.
And the weather was
know.
horrible. It was a storm, Stormageddon.
Yeah, it was Stormageddon. Plus, I was really sick, and I did not want to get anybody else sick. So but what great weather yesterday.
I know. We lucked out. It was like yucky, and then the luck of the Irish.
Yeah.
And while we're talking, I'm just putting up funny memes about people hating Tesla. So I let
Yeah.
people.
But I do thank you for bringing Joshua on there. Guys and girls, he has ran before, didn't quite make it, and he was running, with Maria. So we've gotten to meet him before. Thanks to Harrison, I got to meet him down at state committee just a couple months ago. I got to meet his beautiful wife. And he's just a very humble man, very, very nice, sweet, down to earth guy. So I really, really like him a lot. As a matter of fact, I have my Joshua Prince sticker sitting right here that's getting ready to go on my my folder. So you go do your research, guys. We're not telling you who to vote for or anything, but he's just a really, really nice guy. He has ran before. So I like him and Maria. I love them both dearly. They're just great people.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And they're hard workers, and they're ready to go to work for us. And what can we do? Is we support these candidates. Do your research. His website's right there. This wasn't just you googling up somebody and looking at. I brought him on the show. You got the look in his eye. You got to hear what he had to say. We've been chatting about getting him back up to Erie to do a little presentation, but that's hard. We got to find a facility that's big enough. And go from there. So it's what we do. I don't rely on the Republican Party, so we just do what we do because we need to do it and get it
Yeah,
done.
and I want to give a shout out to Mike Kelly. He's got a lot of bad press going out there about him not showing up to the St. Patrick's Day parade. But I want to say this, everybody. Why would he want to? Why would he want to? They advertise these Democrats and libs. We're a welcoming city. We welcome everybody.
Until you disagree with them.
They don't want to welcome our own congressman. They're like, he doesn't have any town halls. Why would he want to have one? They already said there was hundreds of protesters ready to greet him. Well, you know what? I would not want to come somewhere where I do not feel welcome. And it's not like they even want to sit down and have a conversation with him.
No,
They're
they just
saying,
want to
oh,
they just want to scream at you. They want to bully you down. And you know what was it? I put on Facebook today. You know, City of Erie is a friendly, welcoming place until you disagree with them. And then
100%.
and it's just this we knew this was going to happen. We talked about it. We talked about it. We talked about it. We knew that once they didn't get, Kamala Harris, installed as president, they were going to come unglued and absolutely lose their mind. And I was online and it's all the weird sick sex memes they do. I mean, I put up some memes that are pretty funny, but they're not like
They're not
icky.
mean.
Our own president of the Erie School District. What does he do? He has a satire page, and that's like, he thinks that gets him out of trouble. You people need to really look at who's running the Erie School District. Really, I'm serious. This is absolutely ridiculous. This whack job guy runs around making memes of the county of I was involved in a couple of them when I was on
Yeah, I
council.
remember.
Yeah,
He's got a sick mind. And let me tell you, they want to say, oh, they're cutting Medicaid and Medicare and
lies,
Social
lies,
Security.
lies.
Show me the facts. Show me where they've actually done this, especially after they just passed a bill where they have funded these programs. And not only that, with the tariffs and everything, Trump has said they're all actually going to be able to make those programs even stronger. So
Right.
I want you guys to show me some facts where they've actually cut these programs before you start your bitching.
Well, that doesn't work because the Democrat Party has a playbook, and they find disinformation and then they draw it. I have up on the screen a meme I found of a person in a wheelchair, dragging. Well, the person, it's someone dressed up like Trump, dragging him by a leash, and Elon Musk. So this absolutely does what? What does this accomplish? Other than saying you people are sick. There's no reason for that type of behavior. You want to throw a funny political meme? There's some anti-Trump ones that absolutely I had to laugh at. But you know what? Why do you guys have to be? Go on social media. The minute they disagree with you, out comes the names. That's the only thing they've got is nasty, dirty tactics. And why do you think they're losing? Why do you think we won? Because people aren't buying it. Even your reasonable
right.
Democrats aren't buying this anymore.
Right. So I posted on Facebook today 2 bills that Congressman Kelly actually wrote and is getting passed that actually help people. Heaven forbid we post the actual facts.
No, that is irrelevant. They don't want facts. Say this one.
Right, because I skew the facts.
Well, yeah. We were at a city council meeting, and Kim had some facts put out there. And what was it? Chucky Nelson, or was it Her Majesty?
Oh no, it was your buddy. It was your best friend. The head of the Democrat Socialist Party.
Oh, that you skew your facts. Yeah, skew your facts. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Uh-huh.
I screw my facts, and Brian only wants to sell T-shirts to make a buck off ignorant people.
Yeah, and he runs a bookstore, but that's okay. You want to sell books, but we can't sell T-shirts. It's just like the hypocrisy of look at Trump selling cars at the Capitol. That's disgusting. That's not right. That's not fair. Oh, but it was okay for Sniffy Joe to drive around in an electric Hummer and some new Jeeps. But that's okay.
Right,
The hypocrisy is disgusting, and you people need to just start hashtag vote red instead. Real simple. Real simple.
right. Well, I love the fact that Marco Rubio is deporting all these students on their green cards that are, getting all these people to do these protests at Columbia University. And now Columbia University is actually helping them because they're losing their federal funding.
Well, because they're denying their First Amendment rights, folks. They're not citizens. They don't apply to the Constitution. Sorry. Go do so. Just a little about here. I'm off camera. I'm sorry because that means about that much information about green cards. And if they're a privilege and they can be revoked. And you want to come here and say death to America, burn our schools, set police cars on fire, attack the police, and think we're going to welcome you with open arms? You're in the wrong country. Go to Gaza with your pride flags. Go over to the Middle East with your pride flags. They will stone you to death where you stand because being
Absolutely.
gay in the Muslim world is a sin, and they'll kill you. They'll just outright kill you.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Absolutely.
Man, now
Absolutely.
I'm fired up now.
And a hand and a hats off to the New York City police for bringing in buses
I saw that.
to take out all those protesters out of the Trump Tower on private property. Can you be more stupid?
Well, they did it on
And
purpose.
not a one of those was Jewish. Not in my name. You guys ain't Jewish. Get them out of there, put them on the buses, and arrested them.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard I almost pissed myself.
They knew that was they got exactly what they wanted. They wanted to be martyrs. They wanted their 10 seconds on the news of them being handcuffed and blah 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 blah. So, you know what? Good for you. Now you can be a criminal.
Absolutely. So with that, happy Sunday,
All right, thanks.
everybody.
I'll see you.
See you guys all Wednesday at 8 o'clock for another round of Boots on the Ground.
Or how about tonight at 6 o'clock at the Colony for the 814 Patriot dinner?
Absolutely. Have a blessed day, everybody.
See ya. Yeah, a lot of stuff, crazy stuff going on. I've warned you people. We've talked about it. We've talked about it. And we've talked about it. About staying frosty. Watch your six. Have some extra food stored up. Have some extra water stored up. Just be ready, because I'm telling you, if you don't think these people are going to stop, they're not going to stop, and that's fine. And of course, Maxine Waters, the Trump people are trying to start a civil war. Listen, lady, if we wanted a civil war, it had been started and done already. It ain't happening. We're not going to do it, but they're going to force us in the position. And then the minute somebody pushes back, oh, look what they did. The big mean Republicans, seeing their guns. Yeah, no shit. Hi, Dave. You're live.
Hey,
Are you?
Brian.
Yes, sir.
Democrat mayor
Here we go
in
again with
Maryland
the computer.
arrested
I'm
on.
down
Yeah. Well,
here.
yeah.
No. Wait a minute. This way. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go. So what's shaking?
Nothing. We were just talking about the huge turnout at the St. Patrick's Day. We had attorney Joshua Prince. He's running for Commonwealth judge here in Pennsylvania. Great guy. He was the one that got us out of our little gun situation with the city of Erie a few years ago. We were open carrying in the park, and Mayor Joe said, if you bring him in there, we'll arrest you. Well, you can't arrest us, but we got a ticket where they found us guilty, and he was our attorney, and we won.
Yeah, I was down at that rally.
Yeah, I know. You were like, hey, were you at that rally? Then you sent me that picture. I'm like, yeah, that's me and my two sons standing there.
Yeah, it's a surprise. The pastor, what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot his name.
He's pretty good. He's a good speaker.
Oh, he's great. I just watch him and go, why am I even here?
But yeah, I was there. I seen all that was going on. I was retired by the time. I said, me and my buddy went down. I said, we got to see what happens down there. I seen when they were checking out all the license plates and everything. And
again, I have no hard feelings against Erie PD. They were doing what they were told. They have their master, and they have the bosses, and they got to do what they got to do. And we were in court. We come out of the court, and they found us guilty. The cops were all standing there. We're like, man, these guys are gonna I don't know, get us. They're like, don't worry about it. We've got your back. Like, thanks, guys. Because they're nothing against them, but it's a sticky wicket, because you guys take an oath. You take an oath to the Constitution also, but then you also have to enforce the law, and the law was there. It's just an illegal ordinance. So,
yeah.
But
my gun's my religion. That's the name of his Facebook page, the pastor.
Yeah,
the pastor. I can't remember what he goes by though.
Yeah, I've heard him speak twice, and he's just like, he is a pastor, and he puts brimstone and fire into every presentation.
Yeah. What do you think about what do you think about Chuck in Act Blue?
I hope that they do find how dirty this organization really is. I mean, there's been stories out about. I watched a story online where they started doing some research on the people that were doing donations. They were doing just like really quirky numbers, like 1572. So they would go interview them. They're like, we're Republicans. We would never donate. So it's money laundering. Drexel's taken their dirty money. Obviously, most Democrats have taken their dirty money because it's a free source of money. Go look at their expense reports. Drexel's is full of it. All of his blue money, and Chuck Nelson takes that. It's money laundering that's barely legal. And if I hope I hope that they'll get it under control and shut it down, because that's bullshit. It's cheating. They are cheating the system.
Why would you associate with a? I know what the answer will be, but why would you associate with a system like that when you know it's, well, I'm sure that he knows it's probably corrupt. When you're running for a position that deals with handling money, I would think you'd want to be as far away from anything that even seems to be bogus, illegal or non-ethical.
I don't even have a good answer, because that's what they do. Then they point the fingers at us and say, you guys, I ran for sheriff, 200 some $1,000 from Mayor Bloomberg out of New York. Pretzel ran, he got money from Blue, and he got money from a PAC out of DC. It's dirty, deep money. And Brenton Davis, when Tyler Tillis was running against him, he had money coming in from California. Dan Laughlin, same thing. He had money coming in from California just to take him out, because it's, vote blue no matter who, and what a stupid philosophy. Doesn't matter who you are, just because you're blue, vote for him. Well, hey, you know what? Watch this. Hashtag vote red instead.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'd seen with, Chuck, I tell you what, that guy, even if when he's not council president, this news media seems to go to him on all these issues.
Same with the Joe Natale show. Joe Natale brings him on there like he is like the Messiah. What? You were a city councilman, you barely got elected, and now you're sprung board out of that. You and your pastorness, and let's go throw rocks at people. And that's why I don't even watch the show anymore, because it's gone so far left. I can't even. And then I'm going to take a shot, and I'm going to get in trouble. I'll watch my phones ring off the hook when they were discussing Trump and JD. The producer calls him a moron. Okay. So the vice president, that's probably smarter than all four of us put together, you're calling a moron? This guy came from nothing, nothing.
Right.
And became the vice president. Nobody gave him jack shit, nothing. So some producer of a local talk show host, oh, he's a moron. Yeah, I'd love to see you sit down and debate with him. Bring him on the show. Put up or shut up. I'm better now.
Okay. Now the latest thing in the paper today is this $275,000. It just came out. I heard about this incident a while back through the grapevine regarding that police officer. They got $275,000.
Yeah, I've been trying to follow that, but
well, they're not giving much information as to what happened. I know what happened, and I don't want to get involved.
No.
I don't want to say it out. But anyway, the point, I'm looking at the points in the paper today here. It says Councilman Nelson. Now they say that he was the president of council when the settlement with Gross became final. Okay, so
right.
now you're legitimizing yourself by going to him because he was the president. But my point is, how come do you guys go to him every time that he's not the president? Instead of going to Spoon, who's the president, or Jasmine when she was the president, most of the times they go to Chuck. I could never figure that out. I understand it, but anyways, it says here he was the president of the council when that final, and he always says he's they control the purse strings, the city council, apparently.
Right.
So they had that $275,000 settlement, but he said that he was unaware of the $275,000 settlement until the Erie Times told him about it.
That's a lie.
Well, it's either a lie or it's the truth. It's one or the other. And either way, if you're holding the purse strings and there's a $275,000 settlement being paid by the city of Erie, and you don't know about it, and you're the council president, and you also are, according to some election ads or what have you, he's a fiscal watchdog.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know. I just sort of like to read between the lines on this.
Yeah. Right. Well,
And
he's just saying that because that's a buzzword because he wants to be controller, which he's not going to get. There's just no way. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, it's not. I mean, I'm not just being snotty or Republican. Yeah, he's not as popular as he thinks he is, and I truly believe he's not going to be the next controller. No way.
Well,
No way.
I know who I'm voting for
I
in
understand.
the primary.
I understand.
You know, huh?
I totally understand. You know, I
Yeah,
literally
in the primary.
I literally
Come the general.
yeah,
and-
Miss Sanfilippo, correct? She's the
Yeah.
other candidate. I bumped into her
Yeah.
yesterday. Her and her husband. I know, you know, I both know them. You know, she worked at the county, and I knew her husband when he's a deputy sheriff. And you know, I said, hey, you know, keep a clean race, stay on the topics, and you'll be fine. I said, I wish you good luck.
That's her husband, huh? The sheriff,
Deputy sheriff, yeah,
the one that ran for sheriff.
yeah, ran against Campanelli.
Yeah,
2
right.
years ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, I
Tony.
didn't know that.
Yeah, Tony Sanfilippo.
And
Nice
yeah,
people. Nice people.
FOP endorsed her.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
Well, come on. Chuck Nelson has done everything in his power to bury the Erie Police Department, to fund the police. Let's take their money away from them. Let's not support them. Let's just bash them as much as we can. But then you want their support? It's like Campanelli showed up to the FOP. Are you shitting me? You got some huevo rancheros there, man, to show up to the people you pushed against.
yeah.
Here, ding, 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 ding. Didn't get the endorsement there, buddy.
All right, then I'm gonna hang up and let someone else get on. Maybe Gino will get on or someone.
I don't know, man. I haven't heard from Mill Creek for a while, man. That's our contact in Mill Creek. I got Erie covered. Now we got to get Mill Creek, and Stan calls in from Green Township, but he's on vacation. You know, we appreciate it. But thanks for calling in, Dave. We appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
See you, buddy.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. So yeah, you know, so much for an hour show. You know, because it's a Sunday matinee. You know, we've got people. Let's see, we got all the channels are lit up. You know, we got people on X, we got people on Facebook. I can't see Rumble, but it looks like we got him in there. So, Brendan, what kind of cool videos you got for us since we've been just talking on a talk show?
It's been another incredibly busy week here at the People's House. Let's roll through everything President Trump did for you, the American people. The Department of Homeland Security repurposed the CBP One app into the CBP Home app for illegal immigrants to self-deport. The number of illegal immigrant gotaways has plummeted to a daily average of just 77. Egg prices dropped this week, and the Department of Agriculture unveiled a strategy to curb egg prices even further. Inflation fell in February to its lowest point in just under 4 years. Some Maha moms, myself included, got together at the White House to discuss the first Maha Commission meeting and how we are going to make our food and our country healthy again. The Department of Education initiated a 50% reduction of force as we continue to make our government more efficient. And several more companies like Merck, GE Aerospace, and Asahi Beer announced massive investments in the United States of America. We are building back our country. We'll see you next week for the MAGA Minute.
I love those MAGA minutes. I mean, they really, really nail it. You know, they do a highlight of what's going on, what they've done, you know, because you can't trust the media to do it. Just like the local, you know, I like Erie News Now TV. I do. I think they do a reasonable job. They're good men and women that work there. I've been interviewed a bunch of times. It was never cut up or edited or craziness. But their online version is embarrassing. They will not. Trump could save the life of children in a burning bus tomorrow, and they would say he set it on fire. They never, ever, ever, ever say anything positive about Trump on Erie News Now online. Now the TV, I like them. Phil and Mike Ruzzi, those guys have interviewed me a bunch of times. Always been fair, factual, right down the middle. But whoever does their online thing, needs to learn some grammar because it's always wrong, and they just do anti-Trump stuff, and we know what it is. They're just trying to get clicks because that's how they make revenue, by the number of clicks and the number of circulation. So, and they know the Republicans are gonna jump right in. Ah, rah, 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 okay. That's why we do what we do. We're tired of laying down and being quiet. We are going to stand up and make noise too. You guys can do it. We can do it. But the minute we do it, Republicans have lost their minds. Insurrection. Throw a video up there, Brenda, please. Thank you.
Did Elon Musk make a mistake putting his businesses on hold in order to focus on Doge? In this clip, and I'm going to show you the full clip here in a second, he's lost for words when asked about putting his businesses on hold to focus on Doge. And the interviewer even says, "How are you running your other businesses?" And he says, "With great difficulty." And if you've been paying attention, people are attacking multiple Tesla dealerships, and there was a SpaceX explosion. Here's the full clip. Let me know what y'all think about this.
Call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but look what was the news about him and SpaceX. NASA had no way to rescue the stranded astronauts up the space station. They had no plan, no emergency, nothing. But SpaceX, they was like, we can do that. And what did they do? They had a little bit of problem. Hey, if you think NASA shot off rockets and shuttles and never had a problem, man, this is science, and we are pushing the technology. And they shot the rocket up. The booster came down, landed, parked, boop, right in its holster, like you're putting away a set of knives. And they showed video live. They showed some videos live from the space station of them coming up and being rescued. So the guy that they love to hate, that they loved, they loved last year, and this absolutely nails it. Elon Musk is a genius. Electric vehicles are so much better for the climate. Every time they burn a Tesla, do you realize the toxins and the fumes that emanate from burning the batteries and burning the aluminum and the rubber and all the computer stuff in there? But the environmentalists are hypocrites. If they didn't like the electric cars because the Democrat Party's telling them not to like electric cars, don't burn them, people, because you're risking firemen's lives. But again, the party of tolerance, the party of joy, doesn't give a shit. They're going to go set a Tesla on fire, where fire personnel have to come in and try to put these things out. They just don't. They're not put out like a regular car because of the batteries. But they're just so fixated on hate, they can't see that they're jeopardizing the lives of our first responders. But most Democrats can't stand first responders anyway, because they defund the police, and whenever a city, look what Los Angeles happened. Look what happened. The first minute they get into a money problem because of the bullshit they started, they whack the fire department. And then when the fire departments are needed, they got nothing to do. Our trucks are mothballed. We sent trucks to Ukraine. Our stuff's being fixed. We don't have the personnel. And they, then the blame finger pushing going around. It's ridiculous. And that's why I don't understand. Please forgive me if you're a Democrat, Erie fireman. I don't understand why you guys keep endorsing the Democrats. They are not your friend. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they were your friend. They're not your friend anymore. The first day in office, what did Sniffy Joe do? Took out a pen, Whack, 30,000 union jobs. Boom, like that. Now, I know we got a video in the mix here. It's a great one from Barack Obama. I mean, I was just like, wow. I was almost like, it's going to be fake.
Everyone knows
AI.
that
No,
getting
it's
rid
not. It's
of the
real. It's a
deficit
real
will
interview.
require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. Sure, some of these cuts aren't that big, but no amount of waste is acceptable. Not when it's your money. Not at a time when so many Americans are already cutting back. Just as families are living within their means, government should too. Did you know the federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers? They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters. I'll put their music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for the website. And there are hundreds of similar sites that we should consolidate or just get rid of. By the way, you're not only paying for websites no one needs, you're paying for thousands of buildings all across the country no one uses. For the last decade, the government's owned a massive and completely empty warehouse in the middle of Brooklyn, for example. Now, the government hadn't been able to sell this building and others like it because of red tape and Washington politics that held things up for years. But we're finally cutting through all that and plan to get rid of these buildings in the months ahead. We need to step up our game. We need to go after every dime. We need to make government work for you. That's why, starting today, I've asked the Vice President to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste, and I know Joe's the right man to lead it, because nobody messes with Joe.
There's a new standard by which the government is going to function from this point on. The American people are entitled to transparency. Look, a lot of this depends on new, sophisticated methods, but it also, we know, depends on relentless focus on making this a priority. Focus that can't be delegated. We're holding ourselves accountable, and we're deeply committed and focused on making government function better. We're not just eliminating fraud and waste. We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
Well. Isn't that a cool little video that shows Barack Hussein Obama himself talking about selling federal buildings? Oh my God. Trump's like, no, we want to sell buildings too because we have too many of. Oh my God, we can't do that. It's funny when the Democrats do it, it's okay. Republicans do it. Oh my God, you're threatening democracy and you're doing all this stuff because you guys are Nazis and fascists. What? He's doing the same thing, just like with the taxes and the tips. That was a Kamala Harris shut down. She had the deciding vote to allow tips and overtime. She was a tiebreaker. She shot it down. So the president decides to bring it back to life, and then she tries to capitalize on it. People, they are the party of hypocrites. They want peace and love and joy, but they'll burn down a Tesla because somebody told them to. Somebody is in their head telling them to commit violence for peace. It might work in a war zone, but it doesn't work at home. And it's just like, we talked earlier about, with the Mike Kelly scenario. Do I agree with everything Mike Kelly says? Absolutely not. No way. But I get it. And they're just mad at him because he supported Trump and Trump supported him. And because the Democrat Party has decided to focus in on him because they don't want him to run again because they've got their pick already. I've heard rumors, and those rumors are Kim Clear. I cannot lie to you. That's a rumor. It's not factual, but I'm telling you, they've been grooming Kim Clear for that job. And that's why they're putting so much pressure on him so he won't run, so they can install Kim Clear. Because they know they can't take him out because of his connection to Butler, because it's more Republicans. But they bring somebody from up north, which has a strong Democrat hold. They have a good shot. They have a better shot. They don't have a good shot. And this debacle that's going on in Mill Creek, she's tainted, man. This whole $7 million project out there is ridiculous. But hey, that's just a rumor. I can't say it's fact, but that's what a little bird told me. I have a lot of people that talk to my ear. So you watch. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, hashtag I told you so. Brendan, another video, please.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
That's
They
it.
don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary.
Yeah. Have you ever paid a tariff before? What kind of genius is this guy? When you buy something, everybody pays a tariff. And I had a list. I don't know if I put it on the show feed or not. How much we spend in tariffs from Canada. And I want everybody to just show me something in your house that is made from Canada. Show me something in your house that's made and imported from Canada. Big discussion about maple syrup. People are like, rah, rah, rah. Listen, buy American made maple syrup, but buy American made maple syrup. Stop supporting these crazy tariffs that create more of a cost to you. They're not saying that they're not going to have tariffs. There's tariffs in the South. There's tariffs in the North. Bill Clinton, he balanced the budget, but he also created NAFTA. And NAFTA was the beginning of the death of this country because now they can ship shit back and forth all day. Levi Stratus, jeans, Google up where they're made. Their corporate headquarters is in San Francisco, one of the oldest companies around. Not one stitch is done in the United States anymore. So when you buy that 200 pair of jeans, remember, Juan in Mexico did it for you. Video, please.
Democrat mayor in Maryland arrested on 56 child pornography related charges. The mayor of College Park, Maryland, Patrick Wojan, was arrested Thursday on 56 child pornography possession and distribution charges. He's a gay activist, 47-year-old gay activist, Democrat, faces 40 counts of possession. It's hard to even read this, I'll be honest. It's so disgusting. It's vomit-inducing, but it's real. So if you don't have the stomach for this, then I apologize. Possession of exploitive child material and 16 counts of distribution of exploitive child material, a press release from the Prince George County Police Department said. Now, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were first alerted that the department had a social media account operating within the county, was distributing, quote, suspected child pornography on February 17th, according to PGPD, and law enforcement deserves credit for working quickly and arresting a rather high-profile Democrat, someone that is, and we'll talk about this in a second, someone that was awfully popular with Buttigieg and that whole cabal. Regular guest at the White House, all that. And by the way, just so we're clear, at least 13 mayors in the last couple of years have been arrested on child sex crimes since 2021. That's really strange, isn't it? Now, why this story is noteworthy is that this is not just some random person. This seems to be a buddy-buddy with Mayor Pete, one of Mayor Pete's best friends. Has Mayor Pete spoke out against this? I haven't seen anything. This is a close confidant, it seems. Multiple pictures. In fact, they said it was a mentor-mentee relationship. Multiple times that they're photographed together. Now, I am going to push back against some of the rush to judgment where no way can we possibly do guilt by association. Did Pete Buttigieg know about this? Was he aware of this? I doubt it, to be honest. I don't want to even speculate on that, but it does warrant an answer, which is, hey, this is someone that you were mentoring. Is this okay?
Again, not my words. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has got a staff. He's got people that work for him that gather this information, check this information, and I trust Charlie Kirk that this stuff is going to be reasonably on the mark. And again, it's disgusting. And that's why we, the people, need to stand up and push back on these Democrats, because just because you keep beating me over the head, I'm not gonna comply. I won't, because it's ridiculous and it's disgusting. And they just think it's okay. Like the local mayor candidate puts her name on a brochure for I'm trying to be nice. I don't want to pick on the business. I'm just going to say 33, and I'll leave it at that. A trans show. What? What? Well, yeah, because that's what the minute little tiny of people they actually represent in the city will make so much noise. It's disgusting. I mean, they just overpower you with their noise. It's just like what you see on the news every single day of them going to the Trump Towers and blocking highways. If you think that's going to change me, you, we, ain't going to happen. You're just going to get arrested. You're going to go to jail because you know what? This isn't Joe Biden at the helm anymore. But the problem is we have these ultra liberal district attorneys that will just a cite and release. We're not going to do anything about it. That's okay. Just keep arresting them, and eventually they'll have no choice to stick. So yeah, Brenda, another video. We're going to go ahead and we'll shotgun these last ones out because we got to go out to the colony for dinner. Brenda?
Who defies the lawful orders of this president will be fired. President Trump will ensure that whether you work at the FBI, whether you work at the CIA, whether you work at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, the Department of Health and Human Services, career civil servants, also known as bureaucrats, work for the American people, and they work for the president the American people elected. They do not set their own agenda. They do not write their own rules. They do not work for themselves. They work for each and every one of you. You pay their salaries. You pay for the buildings they work in. You pay for every single thing they do. And if they are not following the laws, the Constitution, and the President of the United States, then they will find a new career.
So, Stephen, we're hearing about these Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
Well, the way that it works is when you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. So in other words, you can just transfer into the next fiscal window and then lower the overall spending level. And that means that you can achieve a permanent savings that way, and that reduces the deficit.
And when is it that people might see those checks?
Well, this is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now. As you've seen, the Senate's moving a bill, the House is moving a bill. The president has great confidence in both chambers to deliver on his priorities. I would just take this opportunity to note that President Trump has made a historic commitment to the working class of this country to fight for major tax relief and major price relief. And cutting spending, as Doge is doing, and cutting taxes is the key to delivering on both of those promises, and President Trump is resolutely committed to doing both.
So, Stephen, we're hearing about these Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
Well, the way that it works is when you achieve savings, you can either...
Well. Isn't that an interesting twist? Take the money that they found that's been fraudulently wasted on having studies on mice when they have a sex surgery to change their gender on mice. Stop wasting our money. Nobody cares other than about that many people. And you know what? It's we the people, not this little group that likes to be violent and vile and throw rocks at people. I watched a video. This guy who had a Tesla. He was in his Tesla. A guy come up and just started beating on the windows because he had a Tesla. The guy was driving around in a Tesla truck. Guy started beating up on the windows. Because the party of tolerance and joy are hypocrites. They talk about peace and love. Yeah, they're great people long as you agree with them. And the minute you don't, just like our former soon to be city councilman Jasmine calls people with red hats KKK members, and people that were there to support her were in red hats. She was dumb enough not to say mega hats. She just said red hats. But just like they said at the meeting, like, well, your people here have red hats on, so that make them KKK members. Oh yeah, well, I get it. You people need to educate yourself. Trust me, sweetheart. We are well educated and we are fighting back and we're pushing back. That's why, Donna Reese and the ladies in the city of Erie are working hard to push back because the city of Erie has not had this type of pushback. We've talked about it before. They're used to just putting their name on a petition and the good old boys just get what they want and they get to pick who's going to be in that. The backdoor dealings are being done. Who's going to get this job off? You run here, you run there. And it's ridiculous. Those days are done. I know I've heard stories from the good old days from Tulio. You better have the right yard sign in your front yard when it was election time for the mayor. I won't mention any names. A good retired friend of mine, Erie cop, he gets a call from Mayor Tulio to report to his office. He goes up to his office and he's like, why is there not a yard sign, my yard sign in your front yard? He goes, I apologize. I forgot to put it up. He goes, go take care of it. Again, that's why we have the problems in the city of Erie is people are like, well, it's a Democrat control. No, make a difference. Our forefathers were like, well, we're just going to pay that price on the tea. We're just going to go with that. No. I mean, the Revolutionary War was based around a lot of issues, but if you ask the average person, what was it about? Taxation without representation and the price of tea and the taxes. That's a generic, quick overview of the people on what the Revolutionary War was about. There's a million reasons why, and we get that. And we're going to bring this thing in because like I said, I got to change my clothes and head out to the colony for the 814 Patriot Dinner. I want to thank our callers. Of course, I always say a special thank you to my lovely wife for putting this all together and making sure it all works well. We had a good, decent turnout on all of our formats that I can see. I can't see Rumble, but I can see it. That's getting broadcasted. So, X is actually doing better. X is always doing better. And then I get that. We wanted to do an hour show, but man, that was such a great conversation with Josh. How often do you get to actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody that cares about his job as much as he does? I mean, because you think about it, try to be a guy running a race across the Commonwealth and having a wife and being a pregnant wife. So bless her heart for putting up with that stuff because it's very stressful. I know what it's like to do a small race and then a county race. So I can't even imagine a Commonwealth. Maria Batista, she's in the same boat. She didn't get the nod from the Republican Party. That's fine. I don't know what deals went on down there in Harrisburg. I wasn't privy to that, but I just follow my heart and and how I feel. Oh, Jody, sorry, late. Was arguing with the computer. Yeah, you're a little bit late. We were just getting ready to bring this thing in for a landing so we can go to the 814 Patriot dinner. But again, thanks to our special guests, Kim and Dave, everybody that calls in. We appreciate it because this is not my show. It's our show to talk about things. And if you want to type things in the chat, we take them. I try to put the really good ones. I try to put them up on the main screen, but y'all can read it. And so other than that, Brenda, would you roll the outro video?
All the things were gone. I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
All right, everybody, thanks for coming out on this Sunday kind of day out there. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your input. I appreciate your calls, your text. The show is really starting to sprout its wings and take off, and it's all because of you. Uh, if not, I would be sitting here talking to Brenda, and it would be a lot of fun. But it's way more funner, bad English, with the group of patriots, and we appreciate that. The A14 Patriot Group. Go to their Facebook page. Great people doing great things that care about their community. We're going to get some fun stuff done up this summer to help our local candidates. We're going to need people to go door knock, just stuff envelopes. If you got a bad foot like I do, you can, there's a million things to do. Thank you all for coming out. If you're going to the dinner tonight, I'll see you about 6:00. If not, I'll see you Wednesday night at 8:00 sharp. Like we always say, Shank